evening. I am Nisha Charles.
And I am Deslyn Joseph.
And we are your presenters for today. Thank you for joining us for SAT TV News. Among the major developments, young man regains freedom after no case submission at High Court.
Kabla Singh prepares to end 20-day hunger strike.
Typhoon Bopa death toll rises.
And in sports, the 2012 Sports District Festival is scheduled for December 9th.
Details of these and other stories after the break.
Thank you for staying with us. Now for the details of the news. A 3-day workshop on project and business writing will be carried on from December 4th to 6th. Mr. Kelvin Sagan, specialist in sustainable enterprise development and job creation, facilitated the workshop. Mr. Sagan says the government is an important partner in business development.
And therefore, we want to remind people of the importance of business development or the importance of businesses to development. The government can create employment and produce jobs and provide jobs and so on, but the government can't do it all alone. Alright, the government may not have the resources to do it all alone. Therefore, it's a critical role, there's an important role for entrepreneurship, for business development in any country. And therefore, the role of government should be, to provide the enabling environment within which businesses can grow and flourish, within which the SME sector can grow and flourish.
The aims of the workshop is to help participants distinguish between writing and business writing, to remind participants about the importance of free enterprise, and to equip them with the necessary tools and skills.
So you should count yourself very privileged and a great opportunity to enhance your skills, to enable you to do proper business plans, proper project plans, and sharpen your mind as it relates to business entrepreneurship. And so I hope you will see this opportunity as very timely, an opportunity that you will consider critical for your own development as well as for enhancing your own work environment.
Mrs. Thomas says as they focus on business development, small and medium enterprises, it is necessary that these small enterprises is equipped to do what is necessary to move their business forward.
I just want to encourage you to take advantage of those free opportunities. In fact, it's a condensed program because this is normally an element of any business program that you do at university. There's an element that you must do of business skills writing, business project writing. You must do that. And so count yourself opportune that you don't have to go overseas to do it as part of a university program.
Removing barriers to create an inclusive and accessible society for all was the theme for this year's observance of the International Day for Persons with Disabilities. In Dominica, activities were held from December the 2nd to the 4th to bring awareness to the plight of persons with disabilities and hopefully to see a positive change coming out of the celebrations. Director of the Dominica Association of Persons with Disabilities, Ms. Natalie Murphy, says the activities were a great way for people as part of her organization to make their voices be heard.
The main event was on Sunday, December 2nd, where we had a grand assembly of persons with disabilities up in the northeast area, Dominica in Marigot. On the program had 2 dimensions. We had the assembly where persons with disabilities got to speak about themselves, tell some of their stories, their experiences, and we also took the opportunity to share with them, some information in relation to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which our government ratified in October.
With this new ratification on the Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, the DAPD is now confident that they will see changes regarding how society acts towards them.
Persons with disabilities are abused, they are violated against, they are discriminated against. And so, although the reports are not widely known, we know that they suffer a great bit in relation to this cruelty. And even the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability recognizes this and has an article set aside for state parties to do something about it. And that is why we joined in the whole observance or the campaign to end violence.
Recently, there has been incidents of abuse on persons with disabilities in the north, and the DAPD is hopeful that something will be done to stop these kinds of activities from ever occurring.
The Ministry of Education Special Education Department decided that they were going to follow up when Mrs. Melida Fontaine is following up on that and trying to see if we can get these students to end that, that cruelty. And we also know of persons with disabilities who are sexually abused, emotionally abused, physically and otherwise. But as I said, it's not always reported, and these incidents occur even in the home.
She thanks the government of Dominica for ratifying the convention. Now they can see more efforts being made to addressing their issues.
And in more news, owner and Chief Executive Officer of Island Beauty Entertainment, Ms. Kimberly Sachet Ward, is urging young ladies to educate themselves so they can be better role models in society.
Education on a whole is something that needs to be dominant. I've noticed that a lot of people, stray from becoming educated, and I find that young people are relaxed. They have no motivation. They need a little push. And for me, I think that the young girls today need to develop some form of skill. So book sense, like we were talking about earlier, is one thing, but skill is something that everybody needs to develop. So if you know you want to become a makeup artist, or you see makeup and become fascinated with it, educate yourself.
Miss Ward made the statement while she was recently in Dominica facilitating a makeup workshop to educate young ladies on how to do makeup properly. She has been doing makeup for over 4 years now. Although she went to cinema makeup school in Los Angeles, this did very little for her, as she considers herself as self-taught, but went to the school for the purpose of certification. Miss Ward, who is also a makeup artist on a regional and international level, pointed out that although the other Caribbean countries are faster paced in the makeup industry, Dominica does have a lot of room for growth if steered in the right direction. She added many times young ladies overshadow their makeup, but it should be used as an enhancement to bring out one's natural beauty and not overshadow it.
The mistakes I see are ladies with these big black lashes all over the place, like huge. The first thing you see when you see them from a distance is their lashes, or really huge and dark eyebrows. Foundation colors that don't really match their skin tone, but that's not their fault. Some people just get tested in stores and get misinformed as to how they should look. So we actually help them, along the lines of what's for you, what's not for you. Everybody's skin is different. We teach them how to learn. We teach them how to learn for themselves what's best for them.
She also hosts women empowerment sessions so women can feel good about themselves while working hard to be successful. The 28-year-old owns her own business, which has 6 sub-companies. She says anyone can do anything they put their mind to, and this is exactly what she did. Miss Ward pointed out that young ladies who want to do makeup properly should ensure they get the necessary training.
Something new always comes out on the market. Something is always being done differently. Something that we might have done last week, next week we could show you a different technique as to how to make it look better. So, there are always different ways and different frames of faces and different frames of people that you need to, do something different for them, because their skin might be different from her skin, so you can't apply the same techniques as the other person. So we just, let everybody know that you can find other avenues to do your makeup, and to learn more techniques is the best way to actually get your business off the ground. Because if you only have one style and one technique, if I have a rounded face and this person has a slender face next to me, then if you use the same techniques, we won't end up looking the way we're supposed to look. There should be a technique for contouring her, a technique for contouring my face to become slimmer, hers to become fuller, etc. So there are a lot of different things that, the young makeup artists need to learn. I'm not saying spend $1 million to get trained. You can actually learn what you need to learn within 2 days and just continue to enhance your skills.
She will be back in Dominica in January 2015 to host a workshop and is hoping to see a much larger crowd. One of the local representatives of Island Beauty Entertainment, Miss Julia Pioche, a freelance makeup artist, says she has learned a lot from the workshop and is looking forward to the next one in January.
There are certain things I did not know about how to apply certain things for makeup. It's not everything I knew, but when Kimmy came, she she taught us everything step by step, bit by bit. She go with each person to let them know how to do everything. This workshop was inspiring models, makeup artists, chaperones, people, girls that going up for Queen Show, people that want to have a makeup career. That workshop was for them.
Ms. Pioche says God helps those who help themselves, and this was why she saw it fit to take part in this workshop to refresh her skills and learn more. Young ladies who want to take part in this workshop in January can contact Ms. Pioche on 612-6379 for more details.
In more news, the Reform Management Unit of the Establishment Personnel and Training Department launched a training workshop on Wednesday, December 5th. The workshop is to focus on capacity building for government enterprise architecture and information and communication technology, total cost of ownership management and investment practices financed under EGRIP. The governments of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines have each received soft loan financing in an amount equivalent to $2.4 million from the World Bank for the implementation of the OECS Electronic Government for Regional Integration Project, EGRIP. The loans are provided under a special facility of the concessional lending arms of the World Bank, the International Development Association, IDA. Additionally, US $1.5 million was secured from the Caribbean Development Bank, which expanded the project to include Antigua and Barbuda and St. Kitts and Nevis. Consequent on the above, PricewaterhouseCoopers PwC Limited India and PwC Jamaica were contracted to assess the ICT environments of the 6 participating countries, provide the appropriate training and capacity building, and deliver several relevant reports. The consultants will facilitate an 8-day training workshop for major stakeholders involved in e-government and ICT management in the public service.
And in more news, Acting Public Relations Officer of the Fire Department, Mr. Wayne Lettar, has informed SAT-TV News of the various procedures within the Fire Department, as well as the recent accidents and activities that occurred. Mr. Lettar began with the recent graduation which was held for the community volunteers. The training began on July 5th to August 19th.
That program was coordinated by the officer who is the supervising officer, of the Castle Bruce area fireman Warrington, and it was in collaboration with the local government department, in that of the DDO and the district medical officer. At that program, 26 participants were trained in aspects relating to the duties of the fire officers, and those topics that were talked about were that of teamwork, disaster mitigation, response and preparedness.
Individuals from the communities of Petit Soufriere, Saint-Sauveur, Good Hope, Castle Bruce and the Carib Territory participated. At the ceremony, addresses came from the Chief Fire Officer as well as the parliamentary representative of the Castle Bruce constituency, Honorable Johnson Drago. Mr. Lettar then went into the fire that occurred in Wesley on November 24th.
The officers of the Melville Oil Station responded to a house fire in Wesley. At that house fire, we had 2 buildings that were involved and they were totally consumed. A wooden building which was owned by Patricia Maglo, measuring approximately 12 by 20, and the second, a wooden building with a concrete basement owned by Errol Prince, measuring approximately 16 by 25. We can report that at present, investigation is still ongoing into the cost of damage and also the cause of fire.
The PRO moved on to the boating accident that took place on December 1st in Mero.
Casualty to that accident was 22-year-old Casey Shulman, and she's a U.S. medical student. Information reaching the department indicates that those students were on a cruise organized by a college from the U.S., and the accident happened whilst they were at the Mero seashores. We can also report that the patient was treated at the St. Joseph Health Center and then transported to the Princess Margaret Hospital, where she was later pronounced dead.
He goes into further details as to how she was wounded.
The laceration that she sustained to her bodies, and we're talking about multiple laceration to her head and all over her body were caused by what was suspected to be the boat's propeller. And information reaching the department from the boat also is that she must have accidentally fell off the railings, and it was not suspected until the first mate of the boat realized that the boat was going adrift, and when they checked, they saw that there was blood in the water, and they responded quickly.
In terms of procedures, Mr. Letta says when the fire exists, they depend on the public to call in. When the call is received, they have approximately 1 minute to leave the fire station in response.
On arriving at the scene, it is mandatory that the officer in charge or the commander does a quick scene survey. That is supposed to be done within 30 seconds. And then he details the officers what to do, what necessary action has to be taken. So the response actually starts from the moment we get the call.
He added that it takes effort and courage to become a firefighter, and a certain level of confidence and surety needs to be visible to the person that is being rescued.
And the Windward Islands Cricket Tournament continued on Wednesday, December 5th, with Dominica playing St. Lucia at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium and St. Vincent playing Grenada at the Benjamins Park in Portsmouth. At the end of Monday's match, Dominica led the points standing at 15 points from 2 matches. St. Lucia and St. Vincent tied at 8 points and Grenada on 3 points. Cricket commentator Mr. Joseph Thomas says the tournament has always been for the purpose of selecting players for the Windward Islands team.
In this case, it's for the West Indies domestic competition, which bowls off in January. As you know, every year the West Indies domestic competition bowls off in January, be it in the form of a 2020 like we're going to be having in 2013, and after that you're going to be having the regular 4-day tournament. And apart from that as well, the tournament next year, that is the West Indies domestic tournament, is going to take on a different phase, or a new phase, where you're going to be having the regular 4-day competition followed by a 1-day competition.
At the end of the tournament, there will be a selection of players for the domestic team. Players such as Devon Smith and Shane Shurenford will be part of that team. It is hoped that Dominica can muster more players to take part in the West Indies domestic competition.
We have Kevin James, Liam Sebastian, Shane Shillingford. There are going to be a couple of others who I am sure are looking forward to being selected on the Windward Islands senior team, either on the regular 13-man party or on the reserve. So I would think in terms of numbers, Dominica should have, based on the performances that we've seen so far for the tournament, Dominica should be eyeing about 5 or 6 places on this Windward Islands team. But we'll just have to wait and see. I'm no selector. We'll just have to wait and see, you know, how it faces out.
As it stood on Monday, Dominica was on course to win the competition, and Mr. Thomas says it would be very good for Dominica if we won.
It is very good that Dominica is in the position that it is in now. 15 points after 2 rounds of matches. And what will happen most likely against St. Lucia, Dominica should look to beat St. Lucia outright in the 2-day tournament. And if they do well, they're crowned champions, Windward Islands champions, senior champions for 2012.
The score at 4 p.m. on Wednesday stood at Dominica 177 all out, with Grayson Packett scoring 89 and Raymond Kazemi scoring 28. St. Lucia was at 100 for 5. New champions will be crowned when the tournament ends on Thursday, December 6, 2012. And in more news, many persons receiving barrels this Christmas will be happier during this joyous season, as the Dominica Labour Party administration has announced that it will again this year remove the customs import duty and service charges on obtaining barrels for the Christmas season. Minister for the Portfolio of Ports, Rayburn Blackmore, stated on Wednesday, December 5th, that this is part of his government's goal to facilitate people, more so the downtrodden. Mr. Blackmore says it has become one of their traditions every year to have the barrels rolling even more around the Christmas time.
Last year we started a program, and this year we're going to continue it. From Thursday, that is to say tomorrow, the 6th of December to January 9th, 2013. One person will be allowed 2 barrels for the implementation period of the program. That is to say, from December 6th to January 30th, 2013. It doesn't mean to say that you can clear 2 barrels on Thursday and come back next week and say I want to clear 2 more, you therefore allow 2 barrels for the period of time within which the program is in effect.
To qualify for this concession, the barrels must be valued at EC $1,500 and the items in the barrel must be for personal use and should not be for commercial purposes. The contents which will be allowed are mainly foodstuff, limited items of clothing and toys, and there will be a flat rate charge of $10 for both barrels. However, persons will be expected to pay the VAT as well as the environmental levy charge, which is 1.5% of the value of the cost of the package.
So far as the definition of a barrel is concerned, because last year we had some element of confusion. So for the purpose of the program, therefore, we would define a barrel as a drum or a box or the barrel itself or packages. And the exemption, and for matter of fact, you have various charges that are being charged on barrel items. For one, you have the Dominica Air and Seaport Authority, DASPA, the port. They're the ones who actually handle the items, so they charge a fee.
Mr. Blackmore says people are qualified for only 2 barrels for the implementation period at that concessionary rate.
There's a further exemption because you have custom duties and you have import duty. You will be not be allowed to pay the import duty component of the custom charges, and also you also have a further exemption of the service charges, and then you will be allowed to pay the VAT component. So we think it's a good relief for the people, and as time progresses, we will further examine the program to see how we can adjust it and make it better. And I think it's the first time it was implemented, and we got some positive results and response. And I want to comment more so the staff members of DASPA. Almost immediately last year, facilitated the process. And I've been advised that the custom also did a commendable job. We are going to expect the same spirit of accommodation and facilitation to proceed as we go into that program.
The minister says he is hopeful that the public will continue to maximize on that opportunity to make use of that facility which occurs in other Caribbean countries, and they will be working to make it better. This concession will be available from Thursday, December 6th until January 9th, 2013. And in court today, one man breathed a deep sigh of relief when the verdict came back as not guilty in a High Court case matter on Wednesday, December 5th, 2012. Albert Stevens Jr., who was slapped with the charge of wounding with intent of Mandela Andrew, left the High Court of Justice a free man after the 5-man and 5-woman jury read the verdict. The defendant was slapped with the charges following an incident which occurred on December 26, 2008 in Goodwill. During the trial, Mr. Andrews told the court that on the day in question, he drove his car to Bowers Lane, Goodwill to see a mechanic. However, in driving his vehicle out of Bowers Lane, he noticed Albert Stevens Jr., Kessler Alcender and Kevin Richards, who had a silver pellet gun in his hand. He added while driving at about 5 kilometers per hour, he heard bullets from the pellet gun hit his vehicle and one struck him on the right side of his neck. He got so angry that he brought his vehicle to a sudden stop, got out, went to the men, including Mr. Stevens Jr., and said to them, "One day someone will kill them if they do not stop that nonsense." He noted that Mr. Richards looked at him and shot him in the chest with the pellet gun. So after being shot, he brushed Mr. Alcender with the pellet gun. Mr. Andrews then said he heard Mr. Stevens Jr. say, "You think you can take man as little as your little boy?" and felt a blow to his left area of his neck and began to feel dizzy. He added that he was then punched and jabbed by Stevens and also felt punches from all angles, then felt a pull on his vest and a sharp pain in his chest, and when he looked down he saw a reddish-brownish handle knife stuck in his chest. The victim stated that he then went to his vehicle and proceeded to the Princess Margaret Hospital. As he came close to the Pentecostal church, he fell unconscious, and that is when the ambulance was called and transported him to the Princess Margaret Hospital. However, High Court Judge Justice Bernie Stevenson filed a no-case submission in the case, stating there was not enough evidence to find Mr. Stevens Jr. guilty. Justice Stevenson advised Mr. Stevens Jr. that he should try his best not to get caught up in such an issue again. She also urged him to walk the straight and narrow path, as he does not wish to see him in court again. Both Mr. Mandela and Mr. Stevens Jr. denied commenting on the verdict. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.